So our agenda will be the introduction about Intertech, who we are and what we do, about the global market access as well. And then we will talk about the government and trading services, where we provide a conformity certificate for shipment for smooth process. Then we will talk about the compliance and conformity certificate. And we will go through the technical regulation and standards for paperwork and stationery. Also about the labeling and marking required for these products to be shipped to different countries. And why to choose Intertech? In the end, we have questions and answers. So I'm going to start with Intertech. Our long history in the industry started from 1885, where Marinal Survey and Cargo started with Calibrate. And then when Thomas Edison started their lab for electrical, ETL, we were having a partner in this field in 1896. 1911, we have Moody Daniel, who started the engineer of construction and engineering projects in US. And then we combine Intertech with Moody to become now the leader in total assurance and quality. So our aim and purpose is actually to lead the world for a better and safe environment by gaining the trust of consumers, and as well as the consumers and the manufacturers, by providing high quality products safe for the consumers to be used, with our expert technical people and as well operation to process with this. Okay, so Intertech is covering, like, our core of business is assurance, testing, inspection, and certification. We proceed through more than 100 countries. We have around 44,000 employees with 3,000 auditors who have done around 90,000 plus audits all around the world. And we have labs and offices, like around more than 1,000 offices and labs, and we speak many languages as well. So our core business, as I said, assurance, testing, inspection, which focus on product, trade, and resources as well. So assurance, we assure that the products are complying with the technical regulation for any country you're going to ship or you want to access the country, or as well, we assure that the products are compliant with the internal regulation of the manufacturer which they need, by providing the testing as well. So testing, we do testing on the products to make sure that the performance of the products is complying with the high quality standards and it's safe to be used for the consumers. Then we have the inspection, where we can do inspection for shipment to ensure the quality and the quantity of the product which is shipped to another country, to make sure it reaches safe. As well as we do audits for the factories if required, to make sure that the process for the supply chain is following the procedure and the protocol of the manufacturer. Finally, we have the certification. We provide different kind of certification, which is comply with the CAP programs, which is conformity assessment programs based on the country's requirement. And we have other certifications such as sustainability certification for eco-friendly, and maybe it can be for G-Mark or different kind of certification. So assurance will cover actually, or our solution will cover management system, for example, the laboratory outsource risk management, sustainability and environment. Testing will cover all type of products such as softline. We have electrical, cosmetics, chemical, and packaging as well. We have inspection also covers agriculture, electrical, oil and gas, industrial, any type of industry actually we are working with. And the certification as well, it covers like eco textile, food services as well, lighting and medical devices. So we support actually in our total quality assurance, starting from the beginning of the supply chain till the end. where the products are delivered to the market. So we start with the research and development, there where we support, going through the raw materials, component supply, manufacturer, trade, distributors, and consumer management. Here where we can apply the 4 of our core business to these steps: assurance, testing, inspection, and certification. So example of our total quality assurance in the R&D, we can assure the design, testing as well, and the safety in the testing. And the inspection, we can assure the manufacturer process and, for example, the certification, green labeling, and other things. For the raw materials, we ensure the management system assessment, as well as safety in the testing, manufacturer process, and ROH certificate for electrical and different products as well. For equipment and transportation, we can assure the design review, the safety as well, and the packaging by doing the testing, assess in value and management. And in the certification, we can provide different certifications such as safety, marketing, building system, and components. And finally, in the aftermarket and the consumer experience, we can gather the feedback from the consumers, see how the product is going on, and we can help you to put a plan how you can improve the quality of the product or what is the situation of the products you are having in the market. So assurance services will build a consumer trust, because we will make sure that your product is high quality products which is comply with the market, and it will gain a trust of the consumers, and as well the competition, it will give you high competition as well. So, and it will risk assessment, as in the risk assessment, Intertek can provide risk assessment to help the brands identify the risk of the products and lower the risk of the products before you exit any market. So you will be like complying most of the regulation with no failure. And finally, the compliance with the internal standards, that through our testing and the inspection, we will make sure that you are complying with the local and international standards as well. For the testing services, we have 4 types of testing. We have our own labs, which is worldwide in different countries, who can do all type of tests or for any products, and all our labs are accredited and approved by government or by any special accreditation. We have the CAP approved labs, where we have certain labs which is approved by the authorities. We work with them as well to do the testing based on the conformity assessment program, which is required by, for example, Saudi Arabia or different countries. They have specific labs, we can work with them. So we have approved some of these labs. We have verification of manufacturer testing, VMT, where we can, if the manufacturer have the ability to do the testing and the capability to do any test they need, so we can help them to witness this, but they don't have the accreditation. So we help them to witness the test of their products before, while they are doing the production. And we can as well verify the internal documents they have, like calibration and everything, to make sure that the full process or testing is done well, rather than sending it to external lab to do the testing. Witness test, we can do it when the lab is not accredited. So our expert teams from technical can witness the full process of testing, and this will qualify the test which is done in non-accredited lab to be accepting the test report. Inspection services, we have the factory and product inspection, which is before or while the production is done. We can monitor or inspect the products before shipping them to any market you need, from the quantity and quality, to make sure that it's packed in a good way and there is no damages in the products. We have quality control, which is related to the CAP programs, and it's related to the regulation of any country you want to ship, if there is any regulation implemented from the authorities. So we do inspection and sometimes sealing and loading for the shipment before it moves to the specific countries. And finally, we have supply chain audit, where we can do audits on the manufacturer as per the requirement of the clients or the manufacturer itself to make sure that they are doing the process in the correct way. So certification services, we have two types actually of certification. The one which is related to the conformity certificate, which is implemented by the governments or the authorities for any country or some of the countries, where we do inspection and testing to provide this certificate for a smooth access in the border or pass it in the border, like SASO in Saudi Arabia, we have Iraq and some of the African countries as well. Other side, we have the certification as well for sustainability, organic packaging, recycling, and different certificate we can provide it by doing as well the testing and making sure that it's eco-friendly to the global market access. This is one of the services which Intertek provide to their clients, where global market access, GMA, will help the clients from the beginning of the process until they access the market and distribute their products in the market, even after that, to make sure that the process is going well. So we help actually meeting the standards of any country in the GCC or non-GCC as well, with the regulation, what's required, what they need to access the market. We as well, the regulatory compliance, as we said, in the distribution, what registrations they need, what testing they need, what standard they need to test the products under. We can help that because it's very complicated between one country to another. There is if we take GCC, they have all of them, they agree on one standard, which is GSO, but there is a small difference between countries where we can clarify this for the clients. And we can give solution on how you can comply. If your product is not complying, we can give solution how you can comply with these countries to make your products easily access to this market. And finally, the assessment evaluation, we can evaluate all the documents, the testing, the inspection, everything we can evaluate it to make it, to ensure that it's complying with the local and international actual regulations. So here is few challenges when people want to access a new market or they want to start the business in a new country. So some of them, the complexity of the regulation between different countries, the strict imports, export the procedure, the tariff and non-tariff barriers as well. And we have, as we said, different regulation and different market will make it complicated for the consumers to comply with all these markets. Even additional to that, doing testing for different standards, it's costly. And here, why we are focusing on these challenges to make it easier for the consumer to distribute in different countries by unifying the standards or the testing and reduce the cost on the clients. Why it's important? Actually, the global market access through Intertek will help to increase the knowledge of the clients on what is the new regulation, what is the updates, how they can access the market, and it's avoid the delays in the distribution, because when you are complying with the regulation from the beginning, before you start shipping or before you access the market, you will avoid any delays on the customs because you know that you are complying with all the regulations. And helps as well to clarify the complexity in the regulations. And this is an overview of the global market access. As I said before, that we help or support in the full supply chain, starting from the legal address and validation from the manufacturer, factory audits, product sampling, and product checking as well, where we do testing and check the products, quality and quantity inspection, import the documentation review by, maybe we can help with the HS codes if it's difficult for the clients to identify the exact HS code or what to use. And as well, we can review the labeling, the marking required in each country. Like for example, in the GCC countries, they require the Arabic marking. In different countries, they don't require it. So we help on all these things. And finally, the sealing and loading for and unloading and monitoring the shipments to make sure that the product reach safe to the country which they are exporting to. So here is the benefit of the global market access, which will help the consumer to start their business from the beginning till the end until they access the market. So they protect the brand reputation. They ensure the quality of the product that is meeting the requirement. It's high quality as well. And it's a one-stop shop for all the pre-shipments, because here you can find what is the updates of the regulation, what is the standard required, what's marking required, everything related to the products to meet the requirements, specific requirements. Also, it gives you competition advantage, lower the risk, because when you in advance check the products, you will make sure that there is no risk or the risk is minimum once it's shipped to the country. And as well, it's reducing the cost, because if the shipment gets rejected on the border or in that country, you have to re-export it and redo the full work. So here it will reduce the cost, because you will make sure that from the beginning you have complied with the necessary requirements. The second service, which is our main service, which we provided, is about the government and trading. And these services, we are, as Intertech is the leader in the total quality assurance, we have issued around 3.3 million certificates, which is related to the government. And this service actually, it's supporting the international standard and the local standards. And we work with the authorities, government, clients, and suppliers, even manufacturer. So whatever the government will give us the regulation, we gather it and we give it to the customers who wants to ship, to make sure that they are complying with that. Of course, by monitoring the process, and we provide the certificate. These are the countries where we issue certificate for them, or they are under the conformity assessment program. We do for Saudi Arabia, Egypt, in the Middle East and GCC, actually, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Egypt. In Africa, we have Uganda, Mozambique, Cameroon. The one in blue is they have the CAP program for the paper and stationery, which is regulated for these caps, and it's mandatory to have the certification. On the other hand, we have fiscal commercial services, where these countries require certificate only by doing inspection. And one of these countries who's having the regulated products for paper and stationery is Bangladesh, but we can provide certificate for other countries as well. And finally, we have the verification and advisory services, such as the global market access, which we have discussed before, tradable as well, customized inspection based on the customer, what they need or what they want from us to do. We can customize a inspection for them or anything else. What we can do in the global market access, we can ensure that the products are complying with the regulation of the local regulation and the international regulation for specific country you want to ship to or you want to access to the market. And as well, the benefit from that it will give you a smooth access to the border without any delays or stopping, because if you will not have the certificate, maybe the shipment will get rejected, or they will hold it until they do the testing and inspection. So here we will do the testing and inspection in advance, so you will have the certificate. You can proceed with the shipment without any delays. And the compliance, we can clarify all the complexity in the compliance of the technical regulation, the standards, and as well to help you to figure out the HS code with the correct standard. Our services to the government, actually, we ensure the imports comply, collaborating with the Ministry of Commerce, and we have the infrastructure as well with the Ministry of Industry and Agriculture. Customer service such as advisor, security, IT things. This is what we cover. And finally, the assistant for food and health authorities. We work with the health authority in doing audits, testing, and different things, as well registering services. This is the full process for the conformity program. It's different from one country to another, but this is the general one where the government will implement the conformity assessment, what they want, what they need. So then the exporter, they want to ship the product to a specific country. They have to get the certificate before shipping. So they have to contact Intertech for that, where Intertech will do the testing, inspection, and they will check the documents as well. Once it's all comply, we will issue the certificate so the importer or the exporter who's shipping the shipment can move it and clear it from the border and release their products in the market. The requirement to apply for any certificate or any service we need, usually these are the main documents we needed. It's not limited to this. It can be more than that. But usually we ask for the request where you will mention whatever you need, the invoice, free sale certificate sometimes, the letter of credit, the exporter, the requirement of the exporter, what they need exactly. So these are the main documents which we needed usually to proceed with any service. Here we will talk about the product compliance of conformity certificates. So we selected 3 countries where we will explain briefly the process of the certification. We have Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and some of the African countries. For Saudi Arabia, anyone wants to access the market, we know that we have SASO, who is the authority there, and they have created Salim program, which is the main program, the name of the program, where we'll identify the regulated and non-regulated products to be to choose which route you have to take when you proceed with the certificate. Saber system is the IT system of Salim, where it's a platform the clients have to register there to register their products if it's regulated or not regulated, and then they will identify the route where they want to go. So what I mean by regulated products and non-regulated products, regulated products is the products which have a technical regulation, standards required, specific standards required to do the testing for that, and it's mostly high risk to medium risk. And the non-regulated products which do not have specific standard or technical regulation, and this is usually will be for the low-risk products, and that doesn't need to go through all the process of the high-risk products. These are the 4 main steps for Saber. We have the product classification, where we have to know if this is regulated or non-regulated products, and then registering the product on Saber by providing all the information of the product, like manufacturer name, HS code, country of origin, description of the product, and so on. Then you have the Saber PCOC. PCOC means product registration, where you have to register the product by doing testing or sometimes, if required, factory audit for the shipment. And this will be valid for 1 year. Once you register that, it's valid for 1 year for that specific product. And last thing, you have the SCOC, which is shipment certificates. It's required for every shipment going to Saudi Arabia. You have to implement based on the product certificate which you have proceed. This is the workflow of the full Saber system. It's a little bit complicated, but actually it's an easy process. So the client importer will create a username and password on the system of Saber. Then product registration where we submit the information of the products. Then we will identify if it's regulated or non-regulated product. So in case it's not regulated products, it doesn't require product certificate or PCOC. It goes directly to request for a shipment certificate, where you can ship directly to Saudi Arabia without doing any testing or inspection. Now, in case if the product is regulated, so it will require a product certificate. Product certificate, we have 2 types of it. One with equivalent certificate, such as G-Mark, Quality Mark, or different certificates. Once you provide that certificate, the product certificate will get automatically approved, and you can go for applying for the shipment certificate. But if the product certificate is not required equivalent certificate, it will you have to request for the product certificate, where we have to do testing and audits in some cases, and then review the technical documents, all the technical documents. If it's approved, then you will get the PCOC valid for 1 year. You can ship as much as you can within that 1 year by requesting for every shipment or container going to Saudi Arabia the shipment certificate, and we will issue directly the certificate. So the process usually takes time, and the product certificate, because there is a big job to be done to review the testing and do the testing actually factory audit and everything. Shipment certificate will, once it's the product certificate approved, shipment to the certificate will take like just 24 hours to be issued because there is no check on that. Let's go through Iraq program or conformity certificate if you want to ship to Iraq. So Iraq found that the unsafe products cost a lot of dollars to the country, and that's why they required certificate for some regulated products. And one of these products is the paper and stationery. So this is the flow of what we have to do in Iraq. Evaluate the request, and then we have to do physical inspection. Then we have to do testing before that. Once this is done, a certificate will issue. Sometimes it required audit and declaration letter from the exporter. Then we issue the certificate, plus there will be a destination inspection. Where is the difference from Saudi Arabia? You don't need destination inspection, but in Iraq you need destination inspection and documents released to let it pass in the border. This is the flow of the Iraq process, where we have two types of clients: registered clients and non-registered clients. Non-registered clients who do not register their products with Intertech in advance, and it's usually done for the low volume of shipments for the exporters. Registered shipments for the high volume, where they have like regular shipments, that we do all the process of testing and technical review, documents review in advance, and we provide them registration. So it will be easy for them. The difference between both, that non-registered clients should do testing inspection every shipment to get the COC, and the registered client, we do random inspection, random testing. So not every shipment. So most of their shipment will move without inspection, or selective inspection, selective testing as well. That will speed up the process. You will get the certificate, and based on the risk assessment, we will decide if we will do audit or loading shipment. Once the shipment reach Iraq, there will be destination inspection for both the categories, and release documents should be issued in the border to release the shipment based on the certificate you have got. For African countries, actually like Uganda, Tanzania, Mozambique, they implemented the guidance for pre-export verification, and they required as well certification for the shipment going to these countries. And of course, they have a technical regulation for these, each country have their own technical regulation, marking requirements and different things. So they require to obtain the certificate to ensure that the product reach there are complying to the standard and the marking requirements they need by doing inspection, testing, and certification. So for African countries, we have similar to Iraq actually, but it have a third route, which is C. So route A is non-registered, who do not have any database with us. So we have to go through the normal process by doing inspection, testing, and then issue the certificate for them to release the shipment on the border. For route B, after they register the products, they said we do in advance. They give us the list of products. We group them. We ask for test reports, or we do the testing. We review these documents and make them registered for 1 year. So this will simplify the process of the certificate. We will do random inspection and testing, not for every shipment. And then they can get the certificate and ship it to the country to release it from the border. Route C is similar to Route B, but C will be a licensed client who's having a very high volume of shipments going. And this will add not only testing, we do factory audit to make sure that the factory is comply with the process of any standard or regulation done. And this will minimize the number of inspection. Actually, we don't do as well random inspection. It's less than the route B. And the testing as well, it's less than route B. So in case we are doing, for example, 30% here inspection, in that case, we do 10% inspections and testing. The same process, you have to apply for the certificate, and then we will issue the certificate immediately based on selectivity basis, and then you can clear the shipment in the border. Now we are going to talk about the technical regulation and standards. So I will give the mic to Henrietta to start.
I'll be walking you through the technical regulations and standards pertaining to the GCC and the African market. starting with Saudi Arabia, that is the Sasu Salim program, covering the products that are covered in this exhibition. We are only catering to the products that are covered under paper stationery products as well as the glue and adhesives. So we have two technical regulations covering the paper products. That is the one that is highlighted there, and the adhesives. The third type is the packaging. The technical regulation is not yet released, but we do have mandatory SASO standards which you need to comply with. Like my colleague Leila explained, if you have shipments going to Saudi Arabia, and if the products falls under these, either if it is a wrapping paper or a carbon paper or any of these papers, you need to have compliance in terms of testing these products as per these SASO standards, also comply with these technical regulation. And when I say technical regulations, in these types I can explain. The first type is the paper and paper products. It is the type 1A regulation, which involves, Intertek would involve in product testing. So Intertek would have the product or ask the exporter to test the product and evaluate if it's complying to the specific SASO standard. And when it comes to adhesives, there's additional involvement. It is type 3 testing, type 3 certification scheme, where in addition to the product conformity, we also evaluate the factory audit. We audit the factory. So that is the main difference between type 1A and type 3. So moving on to Iraq. Iraq has these regulated products, what you can see in the regulated product list, that is the writing, printing paper, pencils, erasers, and sharpeners. And you have a set of standards, Iraqi standards. They do have technical regulations also, but it depends on how many shipments you have processed to Iraq. If there are two routes, as Leila has mentioned, either it is route A or route B. If your volume is excessive, we do prefer exporters to register their products. That is, in advance, test their products, have them registered with Intertek. The validity of registration is 1 year. So you obtain your COC based on the valid registration you have. So this, again, you need to comply all the products, all these stationery products into as per the Iraqi standard or the technical regulation which are listed in this slide. Moving on to Africa, Cameroon. So in Africa, we have various programs that cover the stationery and paper products. In terms of, for Cameroon, we do issue a attestation of certificate based on which the exporter goes to ANOR, that is the government client, who gives them the certificate of conformity for custom clearance. So in here, we have school books, adhesives, and some of the articles produced. And the one mandatory standard you can see is the National Cameroonian Standard for School Books. In case of Cameroon, we do accept test reports that are complying to international standards or regional standards. So compliance to these standard requirements, we do evaluate and provide you with certificate of conformity. Or if you have shipments for, if you have large number of shipments, we would prefer you to register your products or license it, based on which we will issue a attestation of certificate in case of Cameroon, which will allow you to clear borders and customs. Moving on to the East Africa. East Africa also, you have various products that are covered under the regulatory products category. But here in Tanzania, you have mandatory Tanzanian standards, meaning you have to have your products tested and in compliance to the Tanzanian standards as listed here. So if you have, of course, Tanzania also accepts East African standards. So if you have products complying to East African standard regulation, we do accept it. We do kind of a gap analysis between the actual Tanzanian standard and the East African standard, or if you have, for that matter, international standard, we do a gap analysis and we help you to confirm whether the product is in compliance to the Tanzanian standard requirements. So these are the products that are covered for Tanzania. These are just not limited to this. There are various other products. We have just covered the products that are exhibited in this exhibition. Moving on to Uganda, we have glues, printing material, again the paper, stationery products, as well as glue-related products. Here we have mandatory Ugandan standards which the product needs to comply with. In case of Tanzania, we still have an acceptance of international standard, but when it comes to Uganda, it has to comply with Ugandan standard regulation or the adopted East African standards. So once the product is set to export to Uganda, what we do is we test the product as per the Ugandan standards to various laboratories which we are placed in the global market. We can help you find a laboratory in your region. We have records of all globally available markets and testing laboratory across the region. So when it comes to testing, when it comes to TBS or UNBS, we have 4 main test parameters which they review or evaluate at the borders or to check the stability of paper. First one is the grammage, bursting strength, tearing resistance, and water absorption. Grammage is basically the verification of mass per unit area, and grams per meter square is the way of measuring it to understand the stability, mainly the thickness, density of the paper. And the second one is the bursting strength. It is when the paper is put in under pressure for resistance tearing. So that is the test basically applied for papers where the application is for printing or any kind of packaging. The tearing resistance is the ability of the paper to tear when a tear is initiated. This is basically when you see it in any kind of application when the paper is used for some packaging, bags, or things like that. And the last one is the water absorption. This is the way the paper reacts when it needs to absorb any water. This is basically for printing, drying of ink when the paper has print on it. So moving on to the labeling and marking requirements. For KSA market, the main language which you need to have the marking to be in Arabic language. Additional to Arabic, you can have English or any other language, but Arabic is the major mandatory language which is required on all the packaging. These are the main marking or labeling requirements which is expected to have for these products, in addition to the technical regulations or products to be complying to the standard requirements. So the Arabic language is a must, and the products should have the name, the supplier's name, manufacturer's name, country of origin, ingredients. This differs if in case it's a glue or things like that. You still have to mention what are the ingredients in it, and dimensions and size, and how do you how you are supposed to store the product, and usage and safety of if there's any kind of warning which needs to be put. Moving on to the Iraq market, here also the mandatory language is Arabic. In addition to Arabic, you can have English or you can have English and Arabic. Arabic is a must. In addition, you can have an accompanying English language for your packaging. And the main thing to focus on is they stress on the product should not have any offensive or any kind of language or image that is sensitive, like Islamic religion. So that should be taken care of. Apart from that, instruction manual, country of origin, traceability, all that falls in this section. So marking is important, but it also gives reference to this. Iraq also has glues and sharpeners and erasers. So date of production also plays an important role. So the product, based on the size and the packaging, should have all these marking. Of course, it varies when it comes to the sizing of it, or if you have a outer covers, outer packaging and the main packaging, we can help you in identifying that and finding a solution. Moving on to Tanzania. Tanzania, the main language for instruction is English. They do have Swahili, but it's not mandatory. It can be in addition to English. And instruction manual and country of origin and batch number is a must for traceability. And the general requirements with regards to name of the product, name of the manufacturer, batch reference, grammage, size, dimension, and country of origin is the one which we are evaluating. When we talk about essential requirements, it is when an Intertech inspector goes to an inspection in your warehouse or where the products are to be inspected, he would first evaluate if these markings are available. If this essential marking is not available on the packaging, we would not go ahead with the detailed inspection of the product. That's the reason essential marking compliance is a must, after which we go into the detailed evaluation of the product, where it involves opening sample. Say you have 10 types of products, we sample them out, each type, and verify if all those marking as per the standard requirements are met. So inspector would carry a checklist based on the different product types you have and evaluate if the marking is in compliance to all these marking and labeling requirements. When it comes to Uganda, it's similar to Tanzania, but of course you have mandatory Ugandan standard, and English is acceptable. So again, the essential requirements on batch reference and production date of manufacture is a must. And in addition, the labeling should have the name of the product, trademark, batch reference, grammage, size, dimension, and country of origin for traceability. So in general, if we have to brief, these are the labeling requirements for GCC, Iraq, and African markets. We cannot say this is the must, but it always varies based on the type of product you have for export and what is the standard requirements. In general, you should have the name of the product, the name of the manufacturer, and country of origin, batch reference for traceability and things like that. So why do you choose Intertech? We are the market expertise. We have various business lines who cover various expertise in may it be soft lines, hard lines, in electrical, even paper. So you can reach out to us. We can give you an expert advice. Testing and certification. We can guide you through all the testing and certification services which Intertech is catering for all the GCC, Iraq, as well as African markets. Regulatory compliance. We can, even if you may have been already in touch with us, we will prepare you in advance if there's an upcoming regulation, how many months you have to prepare for complying to these requirements. It could be testing as well as labeling. Any change in the standard requirements, say if there is a new standard come up in the market and there is an implementation of it, generally a government client gives you a grace of 3 months. So we'll assist you in complying to those regulations well in advance. Training programs. Intertech can prepare a tailor-made workshop for you based on the topic you choose. We can have our people come into your place or arrange training programs. Documentation and import support. So we have all these regions which you saw. We have a regional office, a local office, who can assist you for custom clearance and export and import at the local area. Product safety and testing. Our global testing laboratories can help you test the products as per the international, regional, or national regulations.